Thanks for joining us here on World Tech Update. I'm Nick Barber. We'll start this week with Intel that announced its next-generation core processors, codenamed Ivy Bridge, that are faster and more power efficient than their predecessors. The initial Ivy Bridge lineup includes 13 quad-core chips for high-end desktops and laptops. Intel will announce new Ivy Bridge chips for Ultrabooks and mainstream laptops and desktops in the coming months. Ultrabook chips will be dual-core, low-voltage, and slim enough to fit into the designs of Ultrabooks. Intel's first Ivy Bridge chips include 8 Core i7 processors, 5 Core i5 processors, and 1 unlocked Core i7 Extreme Edition processor, which Intel called the world's fastest mobile processor. The chips have special 3D transistors, which Intel says improves application and graphics performance while preserving laptop battery life. They consume a little less than half the power and will be 37% faster than existing 32nm chips, which have 2D transistors. Android doesn't appear to be a problem for Apple, which reported soaring sales and a jump in profit and revenue. Net profit nearly doubled to more than $11.5 billion. The company saw 88% year-on-year growth of iPhone sales and 151% growth on iPads. Mac sales dropped 7% and iPods 15%. Nintendo missed its sales targets for its 3DS handheld gaming device, despite promises from the company, a number of new titles, and several price cuts. It came up about 500,000 units short of its 14 million target. The company also booked a fiscal loss, its first since 1981. The 3DS, which launched last February, is the successor to Nintendo's DS, which is one of the most popular video game devices of all time. Nintendo has a positive outlook, though. It's setting a target of 18.5 million units for its 3DS for its upcoming fiscal year, during which its next-gen home console, the Wii U, will also launch. Google this week introduced its much-rumored Google Drive, which starts users off with 5 gigs of free storage space. You can buy more, up to 16 terabytes a month. An extra 25 gigs will cost $2.50 a month. One of the big benefits is search capabilities with the Google Drive. Scanned documents can be searched using OCR, and even images can be searched. One reviewer added a picture of the Statue of Liberty, then searched for it using only text. He found it, despite there being any metadata or descriptive file names. Augmented reality apps are giving new meaning to interactive learning in the home and at school. PBS Kids Interactive and WGBH Educational Foundation have discovered a way to help kids learn using resources that don't really exist. With advanced technology and a bit of imagination, they created an augmented reality app called Lunch Rush that turns simple math problems into a virtual sushi collecting game for young children. Developers are thinking up ways to expand the range of how kids learn and how to utilize devices like tablets and smartphones in an educational way. Augmented reality is enabling educators to teach in new ways that would be very hard or impossible otherwise.
I suspect that augmented reality is going to excel at experimental setups that would be too expensive or impossible to replicate. And so what I mean by that is, providing the learner with an environment that they can manipulate that simulates something else that I simply can't have in my living room, or I can't have one of those in the classroom.
2 rowers plan to cross the Atlantic in 60 days in a small rowboat with a little help from technology. The boat Bojangles will depart from eastern Canada, and the 2 rowers will row in 2-hour increments until they reach England. The journey isn't just dependent on the rowers and the boat, but the technology inside of it.
Solar panels power everything, yes. iPods, cameras, sat phone, water maker, bilge pump, all the nav instruments.
UK rower Roz Savage is excited to use a device with her sat phone and iPad that will for the first time create a Wi-Fi hotspot out of the boat so that those following her blog will be updated on the boat's journey. It's a 2,000-mile trip to London where Savage hopes to arrive in time for the Summer Olympics. You can follow their journey at or2012.com. A 3-week-old robot at the MIT Media Lab is creating a cocoon-like structure on its own with a little help from programmers. It's a project created by the Mediated Matter Group, which does a lot of work on 3D printing, but this project is different.
So instead of usually when you see 3D printing, you see sort of layered manufacturing, where you deposit one layer of material followed by another layer. So here we're using tensile elements instead. So think strings, think ropes, think elastic bands, for example. So we're looking at how can you have an additive manufacturing process that looks at your surroundings and says, we have these branches here, or these pegs, or these objects, and you can weave around these objects, right? So sort of like a spider, sort of like a silkworm, so you create your own structure out of your surroundings.
Right now, the bot knows the positions of all the hooks and pegs that it's surrounded by, and it's crafting a design that was pre-programmed. But eventually, the researchers want to make the robot autonomous. That means it would be able to sense where the pegs and hooks are and make a custom design on its own. Well, that's our show for this week. Thanks for joining us here on World Tech Update. To find out what's coming up on every week's show, be sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. As we head out this week, we'll leave you with some sights from the Beijing Motor Show. I'm Nick Barber, and for all of us here at the IDG News Service, thanks for watching, and we hope to see you next week.